Hello, everybody. It feels like it's been a long time, but welcome back to another episode of The Dribble, the show where we take a closer look into the Boston Celtics, the rest of the NBA, and whatever else might come up. I, of course, am Luke Irwin, and I am your host. We have a great show today. Really excited. This one's a little bit more NBA heavy. The Celtics have had a lot of really great games, but it's January. We're getting ready for the All-Star break. So there's not too much weight in any of these games, just some nice potential future matchups. But we will first go over those games, do a quick recap of them. But then when you hear this sound, that means it's time to shut up about the Celtics. Enough about the Celtics. It's time to move on to the rest of the NBA. And like I said, we have a great show. The Bucks have a new coach. Major Wager is back. The gang reignites the rivalry. Plus, as always, we're going to go through some games to look forward to this coming week across the NBA, along with the Celtics slate of games in this upcoming week. So yeah, so much to get into. And I suggest we do. Because this is The Dribble. Okay, it has been a while since we've talked. Yes, obviously last week I was out. I was down for the count with COVID, but as you can see, I'm looking good. I'm sounding good. I'm feeling good. I am back. We are back, and we are back obviously with a great show. So much to talk about. A lot of Celtics games. Celtics went 4-2 since last time we talked. However, these games in January, they don't hold that much weight. Some potential matchups, right, against the Clippers and against the Nuggets. We'll get into those games. But we're really just going to go through these pretty quickly, kind of recap the Celtics games over the past couple of weeks because we have a lot to get to in Major Wager and around the NBA. We have a really fun segment for Major Wager, so please stay tuned for that because you're going to like this one. It centers around NBA Rivalry week. So we got a good one coming up. First game for the Celtics was against the Spurs. Celtics 117, Spurs 98. Not much to say about this game. Celtics handled their business in this one. Kristaps Porzingis was great. Everybody in this game played really well. It was an easy game. It was a good time for bench players to get some play. And it was Wemby's first trip to Boston. And he is the eighth wonder of the world. He's incredible. He's so much fun to watch. He dunked from the dotted line on what looked like me dunking on a 6-foot Nerf hoop. This guy is just unbelievable. But like I said, not much to talk about in that game. The next game was the Nuggets game. This was the first home loss for the Celtics of the whole entire season. The Celtics have dropped their last 2 home games. So we went 20-0 to start the season. And then now we've dropped our last 2 games. So, some of that home magic again. It's January. It's bound to happen. Hopefully we never lose another home game again. But this Nuggets game was great. I think this is the finals preview. I hope it's the finals preview. Obviously, A, that would mean the Celtics are in the finals. But B, this is a great matchup, right? I love this matchup. I love the 2-man game between Murray and Jokic. It's unbelievable. They played unbelievable in this game. Tatum and Brown, who aren't really a 2-man game, had a terrible game. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum were a combined 2 for 17 from 3-point range. 2 for 17 from 3-point range. So they just shot abysmally. I think it was 1 for 8 for Tatum and 1 for 9 for Brown. And they only totaled combined, again, 35 points total. So again, 13 from Brown, 22 from Tatum. Meanwhile, Murray and Jokic, like I said, play so well off of each other, and they combined for 69 points. And Jokic, who in my opinion is the best player in the league, he proved it on this night. Big game, everybody's finals preview basically, or most people's finals preview. Big game, national television, and he went 34, 12, and 9. He just dominated the game, and it felt like 34, 12, and 9. That's the thing about Jokic, right? He doesn't get it blindly where you're like, man, I can't believe he had that many points. He actually just goes, and he has such an effect on the game. I mean, he's almost like he's like a point center. The whole game kind of revolves around him, and you can tell. And like I said, Murray also doing severe damage. Murray had 35, 8, and 5, and the 35 points mainly came with Jokic on the bench, which is huge. The Nuggets have one of the biggest dips, I think the biggest dip in plus-minus with Jokic on the floor versus Jokic off the floor, and the only thing to kind of combat that for them is to have Murray on the floor when Jokic is on the bench and having Murray do what he does. Murray shot the ball efficiently. He was shooting from 3. He was killing them. good defense. I thought the Celtics played good defense. We played a little bit of 3-2-1 zone, which I'm not the biggest fan of that. I like that when Jokic is in there because you're able to kind of control him and watch the rest of the floor and kind of, have your stations figured out so he can't carve you apart too much. Playing man defense against this Nuggets team is really tough. We started out man, but then at half, we kind of switched to more of the 3-2-1 zone. But Murray was carving it up. He just was shooting well. However, looking at this with a longer lens, if this is the finals preview, JB and JT are not going to play like this, right? JT has had good games against the Nuggets in the past. I don't really see it as much of a nightmare matchup. There's not too many people on that team who can guard him too much. He just was missing shots. And then Jaylen Brown had probably his worst game of the entire season. But yeah, this is going to be a super fun finals matchup if it happens. I really hope it happens. You got Jokic, you got Tatum, you got Murray, you got Brown, right? You got Holiday marking up on Murray. You got Porter. There're just so many really good teams, and both of these teams move the ball really well. So that was our first home loss, but then after that, we decided to take our frustrations out on Houston, the Houston Rockets. Again, we took care of business. 116, Rockets 107. So we did what we had to do. And there's not much to say about this game. Kristaps Porzingis played great, 32 points in this game, but we're just better than them. And after a loss, this team is incredible after a loss. And after the loss against the Nuggets, we took it personally. We went on to Houston and, we said, hold my beer, and just kind of did what we had to do against them. Not much to say there. Then we took our trip from Texas. We were in Texas, the Houston Rockets. We moved to Dallas against the Dallas Mavericks. Always love this matchup. Tatum and Doncic, whenever they play, they both have great games always. There was a game, I think last year in Boston, Tatum had 35 and 11, and we won, and he had a great game. So I love watching two high-powered young offensive players in this league go at it, and these two in Doncic and JT are just that, right? They're two superstars in this league. So much fun. Tatum had a great game in this one as well. 39 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. He had 3 steals in this one. He had a big block on Grant Williams at the half. Grant was trying to do a half-court heave, and Tatum said, "Get that ish out of here." And then he stood over him talking about, what are you trying here, man? What are you trying? They're friends, obviously, from last year when and a couple of years when Williams was on the Celtics. So, again, good, friendly competitiveness. But the biggest takeaway here, also Tatum, by the way, had a team high and game high, not just team high. Obviously, the Dallas Mavericks did not have a good plus-minus, but he had a plus 27 in this game. He just was playing well. Crazy good defense, right? He was aggressive. He was going to the hole. He had a lot of breakouts on some outlet passes. He just was playing really well. And then that 5 assists. He's been having, he's been playing a lot better. I like his game. He's not just a scorer right now, right? His hockey assists, even the way that he drives, he collects a double team or even a triple team. He kicks it out really well. Ball goes around the horn. And like I said last time we spoke, he's really good at repositioning himself too, right? Getting rid of the ball, repositioning, finding a better look, and then taking that look. So in this game, he did that to a T, and it was really beautiful. But yeah, I will say the takeaway from this game was that Dallas just doesn't play defense. What we all thought was the case is the case. Dallas just does not play a lick of defense. There was no resistance. At no point did I feel like we couldn't score. We only shot 32% from 3, yet we still put up 119 points on this team, and we didn't even have that many paint points. It just was scoring at will, open buckets, no double teams on Tatum unless he drove. They just aren't a very tenacious defense. And then Kyrie Irving was pretty quiet in this one as well. After this game, we had another impressive offensive display. We showed up to Miami, and we had probably our best offensive game of the year. Celtics 143, the Miami Heat 110. We hit 22 threes in this game on 55% from three-point range. We also shot 64% from the floor. So one of our highest percentages of the year. I think it is the highest percentage of the year. We were getting open shots, but more so, we also had 36 assists in this game. That is definitely a season high for the Celtics. 36 assists. We were moving the ball well. We just were outmatching them. And one thing that stood out again in this game is size, right? We out-rebounded them by 16, but Bam is one of their biggest guys out there, and he looked small. We have Tatum, who's big. We have Porzingis, who's big. Al Horford is out there. Even Drew Holiday is big for a guard. Derek White is pretty big. We don't really have any small players other than Peyton Pritchard. And he is just he's bullseye, right, from the three. And he plays great. He's tenacious. He gets a lot of like sneaky, kind of behind the basket rebounds. So even though he doesn't have size, he's a good rebounding guard. So we just looked bigger than them. And I think even the TNT announcers said something. They were like, this team just looks huge compared to the Heat. But yeah, it was a good game, and it was, like I said, our best offensive game of the season. We moved the ball really well. We just outmanned them altogether. However, this is the Miami Heat, and I take every single regular season game against the Miami Heat with a teeny tiny grain of salt. I don't have salt between my hands, but if I did, that's what I would take it with, because the Miami Heat are not a regular season team. We can look like this. We can dominate them. We could have 6 straight games of beating them by 40. But if we were to match up in the playoffs, you cannot tell me that you would not be afraid of them and afraid of Jimmy Butler, because that's what they do, right? This team is a playoff team. They're a crazy playoff team. Jimmy Butler hiding in the weeds. They even talked about it on the commentary. They were like, Jimmy Butler his points per game are down, and it's like, yeah, of course it is. But as soon as the playoffs hit, he's going to be playoff Jimmy. There's nothing that tells me he won't be, and there's nothing that tells me that any matchup against the Heat is going to be a tough one, because they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to squeeze in. They're going to make it in the play-in, something like that. They're tough. They're tough in the playoffs. So, like I said, I take every single regular season game with this team with a teeny tiny grain of salt, okay? Because this team doesn't care. They're going to scrape by in the regular season, and then they're going to just dismantle teams in the playoffs, and it is so frustrating. But hopefully the Celtics' size and just our overall chemistry, because we have a lot of guys who've been playing together for a long time, will take us over the top for this one. Finally, the Clippers game. So we followed up that Heat game, which was probably our best offensive performance, with our easily worst offensive performance of the entire year. Clippers 115, Celtics 96, and that makes it seem better than it was. It was a blowout from the jump, right? There was absolutely nothing that the Celtics could do, and we went 10 for 40 from three-point range, which is 25%. So again, shooting really high clip, 55% against the Heat. And then the next game, we shoot at 25%. That's more than cutting our percentage right in half. 10 threes made, which is super low for this team. But which is weird, the Clippers shot 10 for 40 from three as well. So we had the exact same attempts and makes and percentage from three as the Clippers did, which I thought was strange. But our field goal percentage is where we really got screwed. Our field goal percentage looked more like our normal three-point percentage, 36% from the floor overall in this game. And I could talk about how that's just the Celtics missing shots, right? That's what I could say. But that's not the case. That is not the case. The case here is great defense from the Clippers. I am so impressed. We're going to do Hope's Hotel next week. No Hope's Hotel this week because, like I said, Major Wager is a good long chunk this week. But, man, I got to give props to this Clippers defense. And you have everybody buying in. James Harden's buying in. Paul George is buying in. Kawhi Leonard always buys in. And Russell Westbrook is buying in as being a bench player. He comes off the bench, and this team plays incredible defense. You have to give it to them. Everything was tough, especially against a tough offensive team in the Celtics who typically get whatever they want. They get their way on offense. They couldn't do anything against this team, anything. And it was really evident from the jump. There was nothing that we did offensively that challenged them defensively. They also were coming off of a back-to-back, the Clippers were, and we had 2 days rest after playing a great game against Miami. And we come in and we looked like the slower team. They were aggressive. They out-rebounded us. We're a great rebounding team. And all of the skill that they have on offense, for all of that, again, they didn't shoot well from three. It was their defense. The Clippers defense, incredible. But like I said in the beginning, it's January. These games don't hold a lot of weight. These games aren't as important as you might think. And people are kind of waiting for the All-Star. And yeah, there's some fun matchups here and there, but these games I don't take too seriously. However, the Clippers, like the Nuggets game, could be a potential finals matchup with how well the Clippers are playing right now. I think they're 22-4 over their last, since December something, and that's the best record in the NBA. So again, credit to the Clippers. Amazing. They came into Boston, a tough place to play, and they deserved it. They earned that win. So we'll see what... You know what that means? That means it is time to stop talking about the Celtics. Yes, I told you the Celtics version of this, or portion of this podcast was going to be a short one, right? So we're done talking about the Celtics. Let's talk about the rest of the NBA. And like I said, super excited to get into Major Wager. But first, I do want to talk about the big news around the NBA. The Bucks getting the new coach of Doc Rivers. Adrian Griffin is out. He is fired. He's gone from the Bucks, and it is now Doc Rivers' team. Bucks were 30-13. When they fired Adrian Griffin. That's 69.7%. That's a pretty good record, if you ask me. And they were only 3.5 games behind the Celtics. And it's the best record for a head coach to have, to be kind of ousted from, to be fired from that. Since David Blatt's tenure with the Cavaliers, they were 30-11, which was 73%. Obviously, LeBron didn't like him, got him fired. And those Cavs went on to win the championship. Yeah, so they were successful. They got Ty Lue as their coach. They went on to win the championship in 2016. Cleveland, this is for you. That whole LeBron thing. That was the year they fired David Blatt in the middle of the season with a 30-11 record. So maybe this is the right move, right? They got somebody in Doc Rivers as a replacement who's been there, won a championship like 30 years ago with the Celtics. Love Doc, love you, buddy. Mbutu, all those things. But the Bucks are 22nd in the NBA in defensive efficiency. So something had to give. Adrian just was not, finding them. They weren't listening to him. They weren't playing right. They weren't playing hard. Defense is all about try. So we'll see if Doc can kind of galvanize this group to get them to play defense. But Lillard has never played defense, and they traded Lillard, obviously. Or they not traded, but Lillard replaced Drew Holiday, obviously. Celtics got Drew Holiday, and Drew Holiday was the vocal leader defensively of that team. Giannis is incredible defensively, but Drew Holiday is the vocal leader defensively of that team. And they got rid of him, and now their perimeter defense is terrible. They have nobody. They look slow. You have Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis. Giannis is the only fast, athletic defender out there. Everybody else looks like they're stuck in mud. So this team, the Celtics got blown out by them a couple weeks ago. But I'm not. We said this in the pod. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that at all. The way this team plays defense in a 7-game series, we can absolutely take over. And like I said, Doc Rivers, can he bring that out? Maybe. The Celtics in their championship run were one of the best defensive teams. But defense is all about the players. It's about effort, right? Steph Curry is not that skilled of a defender, but he puts in effort. And so therefore he becomes a mediocre defender, pretty good defender, which on a championship team gets it done. So Doc Rivers stepping in. The problem with Doc Rivers, obviously, is that he has an issue getting out of the second round. I'm going to read to you real quickly his tenure since leaving the Celtics. Since leaving the Celtics and Brad Stevens took over, this is Doc Rivers' list of playoff and NBA success. Ready? 2013 to 2014, lost in conference semis. 2014-2015, lost in conference semis. 2015-2016, lost in first round. 2016-2017, lost in first round. 2017-2018, did not qualify. 2018-2019, lost in the first round. 2019-2020, lost in conference semis. Now he's with the Sixers, so those were all with the Clippers. Now with the Sixers, 2020 to 2021, lost in the conference semis. 2021 to 2022, lost in the conference semis. 2022 to 2023, lost in the conference semis. So that's a lot of playoff appearances, right? He's coached a lot of teams. He's coached a lot of talent, Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons before he was whatever's wrong with him. So that's a lot of playoff appearances, right? Not every coach makes it into the playoffs. That's good, but never out of the second round. And that's so many years. 2013 to 2023, that's 10 straight years of lost in the conference semis or lost in the first round. That's kind of crazy. And he's blown a ton of 3-1 leads, obviously, famously has blown 3-1 leads. So did the Bucks find their championship caliber coach? I don't know. We'll see. I think Mike Budenholzer should never have been fired. They fired him. They did him dirty. His brother died, and then they fired him. That is just crazy, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I still believe in Doc. I do. I love Doc. Mbutu, Celtics. Come on. I mean, you got to love Doc. He brought a championship to Boston. But we'll see how it goes. Bucks want to win right now. Giannis wants to win right now. They're getting older. And I think Doc is the best piece they could have found to replace Adrian Griffin. And they clearly felt like Adrian Griffin just wasn't getting it done. So that's how that goes there. Now, let's get into what we want to get into. I'm going to bring in Timmy KGB, a.k.a. T-Bone Steak, extra rare, bloody, not a single drip. There's not even hollandaise in the fridge. Not even in sight. Let's bring him in because you already know what it is, right? It's Major Wager. Timmy, what's up, dude? Welcome back to Major Wager. How you been?
I'm good, Lukey. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I had a little bit of COVID. That's why we missed last week, but I'm feeling better. I'm on the mend. You can tell maybe a little bit stuffed up, but I'm pushing through for Major Wager.
You look good. You sound good, man. I missed you last week. Lots of good stuff to discuss. Feels like it's been a minute.
It's been too long, and we do have a lot to discuss, and we have another long episode of Major Wager with a lot of stuff to talk about. So let's get into it. First, we're going to talk about our bets for the Celtics' first home loss of the season, and then we're going to go into new bets for this coming week. And then we have another special draft this week. We're going to do this in honor of the NBA Rivals Week. It was NBA Rivals Week this past week. So we're going to draft some of our favorite NBA rivals currently in the NBA, but we'll get into that when we get there. First, let's go over our bets concerning the first ever home loss this season for the Celtics. So as it was, we both bet $100 for this. It was just gentlemen's bet, 100 each, 2-1 odds. And you would bet for the Celtics to win all the way through February 27th and then finally lose to the 76ers on February 27th. You lost by a mile. So you lose your $100. And I had the Celtics losing to the Clippers, which they did lose. So I did call that game on January 27th. But we were both wrong. However, I was closest to the pin, which was the rule. And they lost to the Nuggets on January 20th, which was a great game. Potential finals, look ahead. So I won 200. You lost your 100. And we currently stand with you at 858 and me with $710. So it's closer, but you're still in the lead.
Yeah, no, rough by me. I called it in the podcast too. I was like, I'm gonna lose this, and I did. Yeah, Luke, I was listening back to the episode, and you were surprisingly accurate. You had us winning that Texas two-step along with the Heat game, and then dropping the Clippers game. The only thing we both got wrong, as you said, is that the streak would end prematurely with the Nuggets. In retrospect, maybe we should have predicted that, but it was a great matchup, great game. We just didn't have enough to pull it out.
Yeah, I think we could have. I mean, if we had even a good game from Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, both of them shot poorly. Tatum shot like 16% from three in that game. And then he missed two big time clutch buckets. Yeah. Obviously, the one where he's driving towards the basket. And then, of course, the game winner, the fadeaway, which he just completely bricked. So either one of those two go in, it's a different story. And maybe our home streak extends. But it was a great game. And if this is the finals matchup, I'm really excited because the coaches were changing up their schemes at halftime. We played a little bit of zone. We played a little bit of 3-2-1. It was a really exciting game, and Jokic is just the best player in the league.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was sort of a tale of two halves. I felt really good after the first half. I mean, Porzingis got off to a flaming hot start, even though I thought, like you said, there was some coaching changes. I thought it was really smart for Mazzulla to make that switch. Porzingis was guarding Jokic in the beginning of that game. It just wasn't working. Jokic was going straight through him. It was like Swiss cheese in that game. But he was scoring on the other end. I think he had 19 in the first half, and he only took 3 shots in the whole second half. Same with Tatum. Tatum had a blisteringly hot second quarter. He kind of took over there for a while and then sort of faded away. And as you mentioned, Brown just didn't have it. Holiday really didn't play a good game. Really, the only one who played a consistently good game was White, and he tried to bring us back into it near the end there. But yeah, I mean, it was frustrating. But my biggest takeaway was just like how good Jokic is and how good Murray is. And if Murray is playing like that, they had 34 and 35 respectively, I think.
Yeah,
this seems like impossible to beat. And it's not news. Jokic is good. He's the best player in the world. But yeah, just watching them in this matchup, it was just really evident how impossible it is to guard Nikola Jokic. Yep, right? Yep. Like, if you try to guard him one-on-one in the post, he's going to score in the post or find someone, on a back screen or a cut. If you double him, good luck with that, right?
Yeah.
He's absolutely finding the open guy. He's exploiting that double team. 3-point land, if you close out too hard, he's blowing by you. And if you close out too soft, he's going to hit those threes. He can really do everything. And then, it was just disappointing to lose those non-Jokic minutes.
Right.
They have like the worst net rating in the entire league when Jokic is on the bench. And we lost those minutes, partly and mostly because Murray was so good. So
Yeah.
it did feel like their two best players were just better than our two best players, like across the board in that game.
Yeah.
So in a way, it was surprising to only lose by two. But yeah, it was just like we held them to 102 points, and that was so defensively it was all right. It was just the execution wasn't there from our best guys.
I love the way that we played defensively. They're tough because their two best players also play well with each other. And
Oh,
like you said, Murray saved them off the court when Jokic is off the court. Like you said it, they're plus minus dips like crazy. And Murray was unstoppable. Not only did he have whatever 37 points, whatever it was, he
he
shot
had
at an
34.
insane clip. I don't know what his percentage was, but he just seemed to hit everything. And it was encouraging because if Brown, we hit both of our stars just did not play well. And both of their stars played incredibly well. If Murray just throws in 29 in that game and Brown has a normal game, then we win that game. So it'll be super interesting to see that in the finals. Just again, it's Jokic is unstoppable. He is the kind of guy where you look down and he has 32, 12, and 9, and you don't feel like he's you don't how does he have that?
It's,
He
it's a
just
little bit, yeah. It's a little bit the opposite of how I felt about Luka and the Mavs. I mean, obviously Luka's also a great player, but you look up after that game and he's got this triple double, and it's like, oh my god, if you hadn't watched the game, you would have thought he was dominant. And Jokic is the opposite. Like he has these stat lines, but you feel him on every
every
play.
play.
Feel him on every play, and so he truly is unstoppable. And yeah, I mean, there's a reason he's the best player in the world. He
He's a
is.
point center. It's really something that we've never seen, especially with the 3-point shooting. He's a threat from everywhere. And we have guys like Porzingis and Al Horford who are good at playing the perimeter defense and good at coming in and playing in the paint. But he's just, we threw a lot of bodies at him. We won't win a series if we don't have Porzingis on our team. I think Porzingis is a huge key for us just making any long playoff run. But if we were to match up with the Nuggets, it is super important to have him on that because he's one of those defenders that can get out on the perimeter and then he can be on the low block. But I like throwing Drew Holiday on him. We threw Drew Holiday on Jokic at one point. Celtics have liked to do that. We did that with Marcus Smart. We threw Marcus Smart on Embiid and Giannis a couple times. So we like to throw a small guy on a big guy, but it's a game of chess. I think if we did a 7-game series, everybody on both teams, the Celtics and the Nuggets, are so smart. Their basketball IQ is so high that it would, and obviously the coaches, I think Joe's done a great job this year. Obviously, Mike Malone's amazing. So it'll be super interesting. It would be super interesting in a 7-game series to just see how they play chess. Like, how does Jokic change his game throughout? Does Tatum change up what he's doing? Because clearly it wasn't working in this game, but it was exciting.
Hopefully we get to see that. It will mean
Yeah.
that we have made the finals.
Hopefully. Well, let's move on. Let's place our new bets for this next coming week. Timmy, I'm going to let you go first. Like I said, I'm still slightly behind, but Tim, I'm going to let you give your bet first.
Yeah. So I am determined to make an NBA tease a thing and to make it happen.
Oh
And
my
I'm not
God.
sure anyone is out there doing teases. And I tried it once before and I lost my money. But I've got another tease for us this week. It's a
All right.
three leg tease. So anyway, the three games are the New York Knicks are favored by 7 points against the lowly Charlotte Hornets. The Phoenix Suns are 4-point dogs against the Heat. 4-point dogs in Miami on the second night of a back-to-back. And the Boston Celtics, who we may know from this podcast, are 8-point favorites against the Pelicans. I'm not taking those lines straight up. I'm teasing those lines. 4 points. The tease will be New York Knicks from 6 point. All right, the line changed. Wow, it's changing in real time.
Yep.
Down to 2.5. Okay. So the Hornets are now have to win by 2.5 points or more. Suns teased up to +8, and the Celtics teased down to -4. So again, taking those lines, teasing them to Knicks -2.5, Suns +8, Celtics -4. More manageable margins there. This one spoke to me, and I want it. This is like a
You
white
want the
whale of mine.
tease.
I feel like Ahab like and wanting to get this teaser going. So, yeah, I'm gonna do my standard bet. I've been doing this over and over again. I'm chipping away, whatever, or not. $100. The odds on that, by the way, are plus 170.
Ooh.
And yeah, so that's 100 for 270.
All right, I like it. I like it. You do know, I think that that bet probably changed live right there because Randall is out with a dislocated shoulder. He's not going to play tomorrow.
Luke, I have all the information and I'm
I
always working with the info, so I knew that obviously. No, I didn't know that. Hey, guess what? I'm not changing my bet.
Good.
Julia Randle, who is that guy?
No,
Jalen Brunson,
you've
that's
locked it
my
in.
guy. Let's go.
Yeah, it's not about Randall. It's about OG Anunoby now. And
Now I feel better
obviously,
about the tees, and I'm glad I didn't bet the 6.5 straight up. So
yeah, no,
yeah, we
that
got two
tease
and a half.
helps you there. I like that a lot. It's funny. My way the odds for mine are the exact same plus 170 for mine. So I'm doing a same game parlay, and I'm going to be doing a 2-leg parlay. And that game that I'm going to be betting on is a great game that hopefully is not a finals preview, but I think it could potentially be one. Is the Bucks at Nuggets? So the Bucks are going to Denver. Right now, Giannis is probable to go, but he has an illness. It's a non-COVID illness. But I'm taking the Nuggets money line as the first part of that, and then I'm also taking Jokic to have over 49 and a half points, rebounds, and assists. So everything combined. I think he'll definitely get there, especially if Giannis can't go. He's still up in the air right now. But like I said, he has a non-COVID illness. They're playing in Mile High, which is a tough place to play just because of the elevation. And if he's coming off an illness and the elevation, it could be an issue for them. I see this being a game where the Nuggets take it. Also, the Nuggets have been going through the Eastern Gauntlet and they've been coming out on top. I know Embiid didn't play in that game, but they beat the Celtics, they beat the Sixers, and now they're going to play the Bucks. So that'll be a good one. And then, like I said, Jokic over 49 and a half. That's kind of easy money, I think. And now that I said that, I'm not going to get it, but I mean, that's 50. That is a lot, but you know, he's no walking triple double. So I'm betting 100 like you with plus 170 odds. So again, to win 270. So we got the same bets as far as like money lost, money won on
I
the
like
line.
that. It's very, very even.
Yeah.
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 Cool. I like your bet. Those points, rebounds, and assists are super alluring. Every time you look at them, you're like, "Oh yeah, that's gonna happen." And then if you're like me, you go back and you count the stats for the past few games. Well, he makes it about 50% of the time over or under
Yeah.
that. I mean, you know what? They know. The Vegas knows. Vegas gets it. They do their work. They do their research. But you just have to be smarter. So I like it, Luke. I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, and I'm afraid to do that third leg. I always just do that, just two. I'm so afraid to do three of them. But maybe once I get the lead again, I'm chipping away. So currently, as we enter this next week, just want to reiterate, I am with $710 and Tim has $858. So Tim is up by 100 and some change. And hopefully I can get myself back into winning form with this bet. Now, let's move on. Like I said, this past week has been NBA Rivals Week, where the NBA kind of pairs up some of the best rivalries across the NBA, the current rivalries, and some storied rivalries. This week, for Rivals Week, there was the Nets and the Knicks, Battle of New York. There was OKC and San Antonio, Battle of Texas, I guess. I don't really know what
Alamo?
the Alamo, yeah. I don't know what that is for, but that's all right. OKC crushed them 140 to 114. Celtics at Heat, which amazing rivalry. They've seen each other so much. Kings at Warriors, a budding rivalry. Mavs at Hawks. Obviously, the Hawks traded Luka to get Trey, and so that was maybe a little bit of a mistake. So there's some bad blood there. Lakers at Clippers, battle for LA. Suns at Mavs. So much going on in that rivalry, of course, with Booker and Luka. Trailblazers at San Antonio. Again, battle at I don't know what that rivalry is,
I
but
think it was supposed to be battle of for rookie of the year if Scoot were actually good.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that did not turn out.
That
Obviously,
didn't pan out.
Heat at Knicks, which has had some storied playoff series, but not really of recent. So it's not really a recent rivalry. Sixers at Nuggets, that's the big men rivalry, and then Lakers at Golden State. Of course, there's so much between those two teams. So those are the games that we had in the rivalries. But I was thinking it would be great if me and you did a little bit of a draft for current rivalries in the NBA. Of course, we know that rivalries used to be a much more prevalent thing in the NBA. Players, star players especially, would stay with one team. Now, obviously, there's a lot more player movement. It's a lot more up to the players where they go. They request trades. There's a lot more of people coming up together, playing in McDonald's All-American and playing in different leagues prior to the NBA. So you get people who are matched up on the same team at a younger age. There's a lot of clubs, so people are playing with each other. People are better friends than they used to be. And obviously, when you're friends with somebody, it's harder to have a more intense blood on the floor rivalry. But we do have some great rivalries because there's so much great talent and there's so many great newcomers and new teams and budding rivalries and rivalries that have been around for a decade now. So I was thinking we would draft our favorite rivalries of current time, 5 each, and just kind of
come up with 5 good ones.
Yeah, well, you could come up with probably 10 or 12 good ones, but
we can scrape the bottom of the barrel to get 5 each.
Yeah, I think the last couple of ones are going to be more projected rivalries because
sure.
To me, a rivalry really needs to be.
Oh, sorry, you go first.
I was just going to say, to me, a rivalry you need to have lost once and won once, but I think it's a little bit more about budding rivalries too.
And so this can be, just to be clear for the listener, like this can be a team on team rivalry. It can be a player on player rivalry. It can be more of a conceptual rivalry, even, I don't know, like whatever. Right. So kind of no holds barred here.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we can have fun with it.
So who gets to go first? Are we going to
Let's do what we did last time. We'll do a little coin flip. I'll get my coin.
You're going
better than a 50-50 coin flip.
Your one coin.
Hold on. I need to rub Larry Birdhouse's head
for
good luck. All right, Timmy, you're going to call it in the air just like last time. Ready?
Okay. Heads. Great.
Tails.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So that means I go first. I get the first pick of my favorite rivalry. So looking at this, there's a lot of really good ones.
Yeah.
But the one I'm going to do is one, might not be the one that you would think. There's 2 that I think are the most prevalent ones. I'm going to go with Curry and LeBron.
Oh, okay.
As my first pick. Yeah.
So Curry and LeBron versus or Lakers Warriors. What's your?
Well, it can be like I pick Curry and LeBron, so it's a team rivalry or a player rivalry rather, just because there's so much history, obviously, with Cavs versus Warriors. They went to the finals. They saw each other 4 times in the finals. Obviously, the Warriors won 3 of them. The Cavs won 1 of them. And wait, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And so, okay, there's so much going on. Obviously, Curry is up 17-11 in playoff games against them. So, LeBron does not have the hand there, but they're 10-10 in the regular season. In their heyday, it was peak LeBron and it was peak Warriors dynasty. Yeah. It was LeBron after the Heat. He slimmed down a little bit. He was kind of unstoppable. Against each other, LeBron averages 30, 10, and 8. That's basically a triple-double. And Curry averages 25, 5, and 6. So LeBron bests him in every single category, obviously. I mean, like I said, peak LeBron, unstoppable, on a mission. Cleveland, this is for you. And then you had the Warriors dynasty with KD and everybody coming on the bandwagon. But he just was an absolute beast. And it was kind of like, to me, their rivalry, what it's been in the NBA is LeBron is all power and skill and dominance. And the one thing that people have always said that LeBron lacked is maybe a sense of leadership or something. And Curry, meanwhile, is somebody who's been able to cultivate this culture in Golden State that has been, yes, he's the greatest shooter of all time. Yes, he moves well without the ball. Yes, they have Draymond and Clay and the Splash Brothers, but it's more about his ability to create a culture and stay within that culture. That's something that LeBron was never really able to do. And so there was this like dichotomy, and the debate was always like, of course, LeBron's like a better player, but Curry is the better leader. And Curry has this team, and he's been able to build this team from the ground up and work with everybody and make it happen and win multiple championships on the back of it while beating LeBron James the whole way. And then, like you mentioned, the rivalry went from Cavs Warriors brilliance every single year to Lakers Warriors when LeBron James moves to the Lakers, goes to LA, tries to do the battle for California with Steph Curry. And of course, Lakers beat them in the play-in tournament, which was a fantastic game. LeBron James hits a 30-foot three with like 10 seconds to go, ends that game. And then he's
Crazy.
tormented them since. He had another playoff series win last year against the Warriors, just dominated them. And last night, Saturday night, they met again, NBA rivalries week, Lakers versus Golden State. And LeBron James did, LeBron James things. He was 36 points, 20 rebounds, and 12 assists. Absolute monster triple double. Meanwhile, Curry,
That's a 40-year-old man right there.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the 20 rebounds is a career high. He's what, 60 years old? He's dropping a career high rebounds. I mean, that's effort, that's energy. It's insane. And Curry poured in 46 points, 3 rebounds, and 7 assists. So 46 points. He also had not the go-ahead 3, but the tying 3 and a tying layup in this game to send it to overtime. It was a double overtime game, 145, 144. LeBron bested Curry. So again, just another thing added. And the reason I picked this first is because there's just so much meat on this bone.
Yeah.
They've been a rivalry for 10 years and it's still going. And, they play each other and they give a classic 36, 20, and 12, 46, 3, and 7. And it's a double overtime game. You got Draymond Green punching AD in the face in this one. He's not rehabilitated, it looks like. And so there's always fireworks, there's always talent, and there's always it's just always a good matchup. And I love it as a rivalry.
Yeah, I love that you chose to frame it as Curry and LeBron too, because they're, like you said, there are these two phases of it, right? These are the two greatest players of their era. And for a while there, it was inevitable that the Warriors would come out of the West and the Cavs and LeBron would come out of the East. And now here they are sharing a state and meeting up against it. Yeah, I love it. And it's one of a couple rivalries that I have written down here where the game this week actually intensified it. Yeah. So, the NBA rivalries week actually stoking the rivalries here. So yeah, that's a great first pick.
Yeah, and that was a good one. It was fitting because it was the last game of NBA rivalries week too. So that's good. So that's my first pick. Tim, what do you got, buddy? What's your first pick for NBA rivals?
So, I think you might probably predict what I'm going to go with here. And I really do think you chose probably the best rivalry in the NBA, but I think the second best is Heat Celtics.
Yes.
Not super controversial. And, you could make the argument that the Celtics sort of have cornered the market on rivalries. And maybe that's just because I don't think it is, though, because we root for the Celtics. But we seem to have rivalries with several teams. Obviously, going back in history, the biggest rivalry is Lakers Celtics. But right now, doing this list as 2024, it's got to be Heat Celtics. This one's obvious. Yeah. So, obviously last year the Heat made it their business to rip through the entire Eastern Conference like a flesh-eating bacteria. It was truly amazing what Jimmy and the rest did. And that included the Celtics, right? Yeah. I think we were pretty happy to get matched up with the Heat after all that. We can take the Heat this year. And it was just ugly. We went down 0-3 and we won our next 3. Obviously, Jimmy was brilliant. And Caleb Martin, for some reason, absolutely destroyed us. And that brilliant Derek White put back to send it to Game 7. And I think I speak for both of us when we say, wow, once we won Game 6, it really felt like we could be the first team to sort of win after going down 0-3. And then obviously Tatum rolls his ankle. The rest is history. The Heat go to the finals.
Right.
But then the year before, right, we ended up winning a tough series to go to the finals, another 7-gamer, right? The 2020 playoffs, right? We ended up losing to the Heat. We went to the finals and lost to LA in the bubble, right? So there's so many, but the reason why I like this one so much is that it goes farther back than that, right? What I think of is 2012, right? Obviously we lose Ray Allen to the Heat, this huge turncoat moment. He's great for them, hits that defining shot. We played each other in the 2012 playoffs. We had a 3-2 lead in that series. LeBron ended up forcing a Game 7 on this 45-point masterpiece. We lost. We went to that playoff game in the Garden. So yeah, just a storied history. And now only to add one little dimension to it, the Heat get Terry Rozier, right? Who's a Boston sort of Celtics mini legend, playoff mini legend, Scary Terry. Anyway, I don't hope we meet up with the Heat again this playoffs, but if we do, it's going to be ugly and tough and excruciating to watch as a Celtics fan. So yeah, Heat Celtics, just a great rivalry right
No,
now.
I totally agree. And also, even if you go further back, 2009, the year that KG was hurt, we beat them in the first round with Dwayne Wade. And that was when Paul Pierce had the dagger, hit a game winner on them in the playoffs. So there's been a lot of bad blood. Obviously, like you said, the Heat kind of broke up the Celtics' big three. And LeBron carried, if it wasn't current, like we're talking current rivalries, but LeBron Celtics in that 2010s or 2000s was a great rivalry, and he brought that to the Heat when he moved there too. I love that pick. Obviously, hate playing the Heat. They're the team that I hate playing so much because of that. They bring the noise. They're physical. Jimmy Butler is a monster. He's easy to beat. You could pick Jimmy Butler and anybody in the league, and that's a rivalry because he
I
just
know,
takes
right?
every matchup personally. I love that. That's a great pick. That's a great pick.
All right, what's your
The
second
obvious
pick?
pick. So my second pick is again, like you said, we are Celtics fans. Of course, this is the dribble. We talk about the Celtics, but the Celtics have been far in the playoffs almost every single year. So it's hard to not have multiple rivalries when you're meeting up with the same teams all the time. I'm going to go ahead and pick as my second pick. I am picking the Bucks versus the Celtics.
Yeah.
There's a lot here, right? And we're just going to talk about because there's not a lot of history. You can talk about Ray Allen being on the Bucks, traded to the Celtics, whatever, but we didn't face the Bucks at all during that tenure.
No.
Recently, though, we've met 3 times in the playoffs during these iterations of these teams with Tatum and Giannis at the helm. In 2018, we won in 7 games. That was a great game. Scary Terry had the game winner in game 1, but then Chris Middleton hit that half court shot to send it in overtime. That was a breakout series for Tatum also. That's when we knew Tatum was that guy. That was his rookie year, but he played incredible.
There was also some great chirping in that series. The scary, like, remember that Eric Bledsoe was on that Bucks team, and they called him Drew
Yeah.
Bledsoe, and right, like, then Drew Bledsoe actually came to one of the games. Like, a lot of a great extracurricular rivalry stuff going on in that one.
I forgot about the Drew Bledsoe stuff. That's so funny. Yeah, he came because he was like, who? He didn't know. Oh man. And then that's the genesis of Scary Terry too. That's when Scary, that's when the shirt came out, he started wearing that to the game. So that was a wicked fun game. And then we won in 7. That was a 7-game series. Can't hate it. It was young Tatum, young Giannis. And then the very next year, which to me is one of the worst Celtics years in this iteration, was when Kyrie kind of bombed the team. And this is the series that pushed Kyrie to be traded. We lose 4-1 against them. Kyrie screwed us up. Kyrie gave up on us. Giannis and them this is when Giannis was really starting to power up. And obviously they got the best of us there. But then we meet again in the 2022 playoffs, and the Celtics win in another 7-game series. Tatum, 46 points in Milwaukee, game 6, back against the wall. It's an elimination game. Tatum absolutely destroys him. Like I said, 46 in that game, ousting Giannis's, I think he had like 42 or something. It was a great battle, but Tatum got the best of him. And then the most recent bubble for this is obviously Drew Holiday traded to the Celtics. Dame Lillard specifically came out and was like, anywhere but Boston, right?
Yeah.
He dissed Boston. Tatum wanted to recruit him. He said, no, thanks, Boston. Anywhere besides Boston. Miami, Milwaukee, but anywhere besides Boston. So we said, okay, we'll take your vocal leader on defense. We'll take your best point guard. We'll take arguably the second best player in that play, the championship run that they had. Drew Holiday, I think, was their second best, better than Middleton in that series, and in that whole entire run. So we get Drew Holiday, and then I think we're just gearing up for a head-to-head matchup in the playoffs again, the 4th in 6 years or whatever it might be. And Drew Holiday, Dame, they've already played twice this season, 1-1 each. So yeah.
Plus. Who's their coach now? Doc, let's go. And just add a little one more wrinkle. For all the reasons you said, I think, these are the 2 Heat and Bucks Celtics rivalries. You could really pick either. You mentioned all the great moments. I mean, I hope we play the Bucks in the postseason. I mean, it's always fun when these 2 teams match up, right?
Yeah.
Just watching us throw everyone at Giannis, and he has these brilliant series. And I just that last time we met up is, I think, one of the best, like, post Big 3 Celtics playoff series I've ever seen. Maybe the best.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
You have Giannis dunking on Al Horford, then Al Horford right back down dunking on him. Like, again, animosity. These teams are too well, before, now the Bucks not so much, but two heavy defensive teams too that take pride in their defense over the past few years. So like just like a tough matchup every single time and a great rivalry. So that's my second pick. That's my second
Okay,
pick for
that's a really good
rivals.
one. Now, I'm a bit of a crossroads here. I have two I want to pick,
Mm,
but I will go with. It's funny that so far we've chosen two Celtics rivalries. I'm going to add a second Lakers rivalry here. I'm going to go with Lakers Nuggets.
nice. Yeah.
Okay, so this is like a newer rivalry, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and but I think it's like shaping up to be a great one. So obviously, last year's Western Conference Finals, these two teams meet up. Uh, the Nuggets sweep the Lakers, so you're like, what rivalry?
Mm-hmm.
But this was a sweep, but it wasn't sort of your average sweep. I mean, they lost that series by a combined 24 points. So it was closer than you'd think. The Nuggets took care of business, obviously swept them. But this one, it's about a couple things, right? These two teams, you have LeBron, who was sort of, once the best player in the world. Jokic is the best player in the world now, but it's a lot about the extracurriculars, right?
Yeah.
So you have all the stuff, right, with Mike Malone complaining that most of the coverage of that series was Lakers focused when it should have been more focused on the brilliance of Jokic and of the Nuggets. And then you have, LeBron sort of teasing retirement after that series, like, oh, I might hang it up. And then Mike Malone sort of on Pat McAfee show, mocks that statement, says maybe I'll retire. And
Yep.
during the parade, they call him the Lakers daddy, Mike Malone, that is. The sort of like animosity and chirping back and forth has continued into this year. Darvin Ham chimes in, etc. So, I don't have much more to say on this one, but it's just become a really fun. I mean, this is what a rivalry is. It's not necessarily the team you are most equal to,
Right.
right? It's
Right.
not necessarily that. It's a team that you seem to have this extra juice, extra animosity, extra hate. And as you mentioned earlier, we don't have enough of these, but I really like this Lakers Nuggets one. And I think fans of these franchises would agree. They're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
we hate the Lakers, we hate the Nuggets, right?
Yes.
And again, it's newer. This doesn't have some of the history as some of these other rivalries do, but I definitely feel like this deserves to be mentioned high.
Yeah, and they may be like again, we're talking about a lot of budding rivalries too. I feel like they're headed towards a series. I mean, depends on how the Lakers start to play, but I would love
Yeah.
to see them.
Oh, yeah. If we got this series, whether it's in the first round, I mean, can you imagine a
That's when
first
it
round
would probably be.
the Lakers and the Nuggets? I mean, that would be super competitive.
And that'd be incredible. And also you have the AD versus Jokic matchup. If AD's healthy and he's playing the right way,
Yeah.
both of them can drop 40 and 18 any single given game. So I
Always a
love that.
fun
That's a great
one.
pick. That you took one of mine, but now I'm going to pick my third pick here. But I'm between two, and I'm going to do because we're trying to find some of the, like I said, the animosity is what makes a rivalry, right? So I'm going to do one with plenty of animosity and plenty of talent and plenty of like future potential to really be
I think I know what
special.
you're gonna pick.
You know what I'm going to pick?
I think I have an idea. Yeah.
For my third pick in the NBA rivalries, I'm going to pick Mavs Suns. Yeah.
Yep. That's the one.
Unbelievable, right? It's one of those ones where you have Doncic and Booker, right, who just hate each other. They've only met one time in the playoffs, but they're two like high level vocal guys who are at the top of their game, and they're both on pretty good teams. So again, they're set up to meet each other again. Obviously, Booker is up currently 13-7 in their matchups, and he's up 10-3 in regular season. But obviously, Luka and the Mavs beat them in the playoffs in 7-game series. And in that 7th game, if you remember, Doncic dominated Booker. The whole Mavs team dominated, but Doncic had like 30 points in the first half, was talking trash. And then, like you said, with Mike Malone, everybody was calling Booker, everybody's calling Doncic Booker's son. Or no, the other way around. Doncic was Booker's dad. And he takes it to him. And then obviously they meet in NBA rivalries week this week. And Doncic gets a fan thrown out who's wearing a Booker jersey just because he said hit the weight room. You gotta hit the weight room. So right now, as they stand, Devin Booker averages 26 points, 5 rebounds, and about 6 assists. And then Luka Doncic, or no, sorry, this is them head to head. And Luka Doncic averages 32 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists. Again, just Luka numbers. but all those go to Doncic. But almost like an Embiid Jokic, there seems to be like I think there's a lot of juice moving forward with this matchup, with this rivalry. I'd love to see them match up again now that KD's on the Suns. But it's just two like young, high level, talkative,
Yeah.
uber talented people who have just bad blood.
Yeah, this is a great one, and maybe even deserves to be higher. This is I was between this and the Nuggets Lakers for my previous pick. But yeah, you said it. Like this is like embodies the spirit of a rivalry. Like
Yes.
specifically Luka and Booker, like you said, like you get the feeling they really dislike each other. And this one goes back, right, to when the Suns passed on Luka to draft Ayton over number one overall,
Yeah.
on the team anymore. But
Yep.
but yeah, like I do feel like Luka gets it up for this game. And there's all this stuff like all the like them meeting in the tunnel and chirping at each other and the
Yep.
physicality that's not usually there. I think it's genuine, and I think you're right. This is going to only be more of a rivalry. If like there's so many of these come down to like God, we hope we get a playoff matchup this year between these two teams. And like you said, like Luka and the Mavs like ended that 64 win season. I mean, the Suns had won so many games and
Yep.
underperformed in that is an understatement in that series, and just blew them out in game 7 to end that
Blue.
season for them. And it was just a great moment.
And that was in Phoenix too. And
Yeah.
so again, another good sign of a rivalry. Why I picked the Celtics Bucks. Like when you have your star, like Tatum going into Milwaukee, dropping 46, that hurts the fans. So you have Luka Doncic going into Phoenix, doing what he did. So as a
Yeah.
fan, you
That's
hate
pain.
Luka now. You
Oh,
hate him.
Yeah.
So
Oh, plus, don't forget, there's the KD Kyrie element, played
yeah,
together in Brooklyn. There's a couple of those types of things. And so yeah, this has a lot of layers to it. It's a good one.
yeah. So that's my third pick. Timmy, what do you got for a third pick?
Well, I think that this has to be picked at this point. I'm going to do a player rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
Embiid and Jokic.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be
Yeah.
the next thing. I mean, so I'm going to frame this more as like it's different than some of the others. I mean, they're not like there isn't the personal animosity between these two, I don't think
Right.
necessarily. But they are the two MVP front runners, and I think even like I want to say prohibitive favorites. It feels like it's going to be one of the two of them. We could debate
Back and
that.
forth. Yeah.
But as of right now, Embiid is ahead of Jokic in terms of MVP odds. It's really close. He's plus 200. Jokic is plus 210. So they're really similar, but Embiid has the slight edge right now. Yeah, obviously Embiid won last year, and I think when he won, and then people watched Jokic in the postseason, there was a little bit of buyer's remorse there, like, oh, maybe Embiid shouldn't have been the MVP, maybe Jokic. What were we thinking? But now I think Embiid has sort of, I don't know, cemented himself in this way as like not Jokic's equal. I think everyone would agree like Jokic is the better player, but like
Right.
damn close. Look at their numbers. I mean, Jokic obviously brilliant, 26, 12, and 9. That's 26 points, 12 rebounds, and 9 assists. But Embiid, 36. He's averaging 36 points, 11 and 6 assists.
That's incredible.
Those are unbelievable numbers. Yeah, I just think watching the two of them, like we have not had two dominant bigs, like centers, be the two best players in the league. Really since Wilt and Russell. I think you can make that argument. I certainly would.
And like Wilt and Russell, they play differently too. They play a different style of ball.
Yes, and they're like you said, they're different. They don't have obviously the pedigree of meeting up in the championship. I mean, that's maybe going to come. I don't know. I can't say hopefully as a Celtics fan, but yeah, like just watching them compete for the MVP, compete for the belt, I think is one of the most exciting things in the NBA right now. And I expect them to be essentially deadlocked for that award all year.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if anyone else comes along and enters that conversation in a really serious way.
Well, hopefully Luka has something to say about
Hopefully,
that.
according to you. I mean, again, maybe I shouldn't say it would be totally surprising, but it feels like it's a two-man race, and God, Embiid is just playing out of his mind. So that's a really good one, sort of a different caliber, but I like that.
I like that one a lot also for what it means for the NBA. Obviously, big men back in action. If you're taller, you're closer to the hoop. You're gonna be better at basketball. Everybody in 2018, when the Warriors were doing what they were doing, everybody was like, big men are never going to come back into the game. It's small ball, it's positionless, which it is a little bit. Obviously, positionless has been true, but the best players in the league are Giannis,
I was going
Jokic,
to say the three
Embiid.
best players are
So the three,
massive.
and even Doncic is bigger than you think. He's so obviously I love to see it because I love when I think every team needs a dominant big man. We have ours in Porzingis, the Latvian Leviathan. So we're all set over here in Boston. I love that pick. That was my next pick. Obviously, someone had to do it. I'm gonna go off of yours though and do another player rivalry.
Oh, okay.
For my fourth pick, I'm going to do the Battle of the Unicorns.
Yeah, I like it. I knew you were
Chet
going to do it.
Holmgren, Victor Wembanyama. I mean, talk about big men who have a unique set of skills, right? This is obviously right now what we thought. You mentioned it earlier. We thought Scoot Henderson was going to be in this conversation, but this is the rookie of the year battle. This is two guys who are 20 feet tall, string bean. They can handle like Kyrie. They can shoot the three. They're good down low, and they play incredible defense. They're both obviously very good blocks. This year, Chet is 17, 7, and 3. Wemby is 20, 10, and 3. So Wemby kind of has him on stats. But of course, Chet is on the number one seed in the West, and Wemby is currently on the last seed in the West. So it's like the worst team in the league or top three worst team in the league that Wemby has. And then Chet is top of the league playing with one of the hottest
Yeah.
teams in the NBA right now. And he's an integral part. It's not like he's a side character. He's a huge part of them playing so well. But this is one of those budding rivalries. They've only played twice. And they're obviously Spurs lost both of those games, but they're the unicorn boys. They're kind of like the future of the NBA. They're what everybody goes to see. They're Chet and Wemby are these two just gangly giraffes who somehow have the skill set of like a two guard. And so I think this is going to be one of those ones. It's obviously right now battle for rookie of the year, but like, where does this go? They're also both in the Western Conference. This could be something where we see them building a rivalry over time, but we've just never seen anything like either of them.
Yeah, we don't really get equality right now because the Spurs are such a mess. But
Yeah.
watching the Spurs, I mean, Wembanyama is so fun to watch. I love watching him, and so is Chet. I think this is a great one. Like you said, it's sort of like a futures rivalry. It's like this will be a rivalry, hopefully,
Right.
for the foreseeable future. They're both, I mean, you said it, the unicorns. Great one. So I think we're getting to the point. What is this? My fourth pick?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, this feels like the right place to pick Warriors versus Kings.
Nice.
Is this a real rivalry? I don't know. Some would say it is, some would say it isn't. I do think this is one of the pairs that have really intensified their rivalry just this week. That great game between the two of these teams. The Kings winning 134-133 the other day.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is also the Kings, it should be said, bounced the Warriors out of the in-season tournament earlier this year. So a couple like noteworthy matchups. But this is more about last playoffs when the Warriors managed to extinguish the beam, beat the Kings and their playoff run. And it's one of those simmering rivalries, right? You hear this talked about, right? They played during rivalries week. Fan bases seem to have a real bad taste in their mouth about the opposing team. So yeah, I think this one's interesting. For so long the Warriors sort of dominated this matchup. They sort of geographically they're so close. They share where they have sort of balkanized this fan base geographically. And it's been so one-sided for so long. Obviously,
Yeah.
the Kings haven't teams; they've been terrible, frankly, and the Warriors have been, one of the best dynasties in the history of the league. It feels like that's flipping now, right? And they're sort of moving in opposite directions.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, is this a true rivalry? I don't know, but it does feel like there's, like I've said about some of the others, a little bit of extra juice every time these teams play. And again, looking on, Reddit, whatever, like thinking about the fans and how the fans feel, this definitely feels like a rivalry.
Definitely. And it's a culture clash. It's a culture
Yeah.
rivalry, right? You have the beam, light the beam. Obviously, Sacramento Kings fans are incredible. And then you have the dynasty, like you said, the Warriors dynasty versus and the Warriors, like I said, my LeBron Curry matchup, their whole thing is culture, right? That's like it's Curry creates this culture in the Warriors organization that is just like a beautiful brand of basketball. And then now you have a fast paced Kings team who competes well with them. You have Darian Fox
Yeah.
versus Curry, right? And then it's not a rivalry unless, you know, Draymond Green stomps on somebody's chest
Right, right.
or something. So obviously in the playoffs, Draymond Green curb stomped or tried to curb stomp Sabonis. So like, yeah, it's like you said, a lot of bad blood, and they're just two like fast moving teams, and they're kind of doing this. They're passing each other
Yeah,
by. Yeah.
totally.
All right, I like that one a lot. Kings Warriors. All right, so for my final pick, there's a lot to pick here. Now, I don't know what you're going to say for your last pick, so I'm going to save why I'm not doing one in particular for after. I'm just going to make my pick. Okay, I'm going to go with one that's a little bit less conventional. It's not a team rivalry. It's not a player rivalry. It's something different. My final pick for current NBA rivals, my fifth pick is going to be LeBron James versus Father Time.
No, I like it.
Yes. It's kind of
Next
lame to
up.
do, but it's look, this guy is insane. I just talked about it last night. The guy is so old. He has 36, 20, and 12. He has a career high 20 rebounds. And you know me, I'm not a big LeBron fan, but like Tom Brady, you have to give it to this guy. He is still producing every single night. Currently, his line is 25 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 7.6 assists per game,
Yeah.
shooting above 50% from the floor. And it's just incredible. Obviously, the Lakers win the in-season tournament. He has those moments. He can bring it out still in big games. The Lakers aren't the best team right now, but I'd be damned if I just don't give it to him. I don't know who's going to win. It's like Tom Brady. Tom Brady probably could have kept playing. And I could see LeBron James, there's no sign of him slowing down. With a big game, he just comes up and it's him versus Father Time. I think it's a huge rivalry because people have been saying for a long time, well, LeBron's obviously not the same. He's old. You can tell he's older. And, he wins a championship with the Lakers. Okay,
Yeah.
well, LeBron's not, he's getting older. He brings them all the way to the Western Conference Finals to get swept by the Nuggets, but the Nuggets were incredible last year and they won the championship. And oh, LeBron's old. He can't wins the in-season tournament, and he just keeps doing it when everybody like me, I wanted to, wants to put him 6 feet under. He stays up. So he's been undefeated against Father Time. And it's one of those things where I don't know when it's going to end. I think he's like Brady. He's going to have to just decide I'm done and hang his cleats, and not cleats, but hang his shoes up.
His cleats. He's already hung his cleats up.
He's been wearing cleats on the floor.
Yeah. That's a good one. I didn't think in terms of the abstract ones. I wish I had sort of chosen a fun one for the final one, like I don't know, like Zion versus his own kneecaps or something.
Yeah.
But let's see. Yeah, I mean, I have a couple written down here. I wrote down Thunder and Rockets, like just because, like the Harden trade, and like that. Again, these teams have had some of that extra sort of oomph when they meet up lately. I don't want to do that one really. But let's go with a player versus general manager
Ooh,
rivalry here. I want to do James Harden versus Daryl Morey.
nice. Yes.
It's obvious. Right? I like it. These two, it's this is the certain type of rivalry where they had such high highs.
Yeah.
Obviously they have history that goes back to the Rockets. Morey is James Harden is Morey's guy historically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brings him to the Sixers from Brooklyn, and they have some success. I think he really sort of Harden played great basketball for a stretch there in Philly, and then of course it all soured with Harden calling Morey a liar, and obviously requesting out of the $36 million, requesting a trade from that team, and it's so far it's worked out for Harden. I mean, he's done this over and over in his career. Obviously, we don't have to go down the Harden road here, but the Clippers look great. They obviously demolished us the other day.
Yeah.
But I like that. I like the rivalry between them and the what seems to be the simmering hate between the two of them right now. But yeah, that's I'll wrap it up with that. So Harden versus Daryl Morey.
I love that one. And I love that we both ended on something that's a little bit different than just like the player or team rivalries. That was such a fun storyline to watch, especially just because I hate the Sixers. Speaking of the Sixers, I'm very glad that neither of us said Celtics Sixers because I looked up. It's not a rivalry. They never win. They can't get out of the second round. We crush them every single time. Sure, there's storylines like Doc, coach there, and when Simmons was on the Sixers. Remember, everybody thought Simmons was going to be better than Tatum, and Tatum put that to bed pretty quick. And so there are elements of a rivalry with Celtics Sixers, but
Right.
you got to win at some point, and we beat them every time. And I've never been less scared of a contender in my entire life. Like if we lose to the Sixers on February 27th, like you predicted we would,
We probably
I wouldn't care. I just would be like, yeah, great, good job. See you in the playoffs. You can't do it when that time comes. Now I'm a little bit scared of Maxey and where it could go, but that's just not a rivalry.
I don't know.
Catch me.
I agree with you. I didn't put it for that reason, but also you never know. I mean, this Sixers team, depending on if they make a move here, there's a couple things available to them, depending on how aggressive they want to get. I could get scared of them real quick.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, it's been pretty one-sided, although it does have that thing. I mean, when you see the Sixers on the schedule, you're like, okay, that's gonna be a good one.
Yeah.
But, it's been pretty lopsided, as you said.
Yeah, they have the reigning MVP, and it's Boston, Philly, right? Philly wants to be Boston so bad. Philly's like, we're also rugged and we're like a blue collar town. Shut up, Philly. You're not rugged. You're just mean and weird. The Eagles fans, the Philly, nobody I hate more than Philly. I hate playing the Heat, but what are Miami fans? They're not really fans. I don't like playing.
I think the fan base is like the fan type and base of Boston versus Philly. That could be a rivalry.
That's a rivalry.
Like, watch this. I can be even more of a dickhead. I can punch a police horse. It's like,
I can be more racist. Watch this.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. There's that element.
But it can't be a rivalry because literally they have not beaten us in the playoffs since 1982. So that's a while ago. Neither of us were born, but sweet. I love that, dude. So going down the rivalries, what each of us picked for our current NBA rivalry draft. I picked Curry and LeBron, Bucks and Celtics, Mavs versus Suns, Chet versus Wemby, and LeBron versus Father Time. And Timmy, you have a good lineup of Heat Celtics, which is, I think, currently the best team-to-team rivalry in the NBA. Lakers, Nuggets, Embiid, Jokic, the big men, Kings, Warriors, and then, of course, James Harden versus Daryl Morey. Nice. That was fun.
Yeah, that was great. Loved it.
Major wager. Did it again.
Every week, baby.
Every week. All right, dude. Great list, and I'll see you soon.
All right, buddy. Have fun.
Peace.
Peace.
Okay. Another great episode of Major Wager in the books. That was great. NBA Rivals Week. It seems like there's not a lot of rivals, but actually you break it down, there actually are a lot of rivals. They're not as storied as Celtics Lakers and stuff like that, but there is some really great matchups, some interesting in-player matchups, obviously team-to-team matchups that could be really good with a lot of young talent. Yeah, this has been great. Good episode. Before I go, I am going to do what I always do, which is break down some games to look forward to across the NBA along with the Celtics slate of games. Tonight, Monday, in the NBA, two great games. Minnesota Timberwolves at OKC Thunder. That's going to be a great one. And then you have Bucks at Denver. Again, a potential finals preview. That'll be really fun as well. Wednesday, Denver goes to OKC, a potential Western Finals, maybe. Two great teams, two top teams in the West. And then Dallas goes to Minnesota. That's going to be great. Luka Doncic versus Ant-Man. Fireworks for sure. Thursday, Pacers at Knicks. Knicks are playing incredible. Pacers are great. Such high pace. They go into the Garden to see if they can't take down the mighty Knicks. And Saturday, Lakers at Knicks. LeBron in Madison Square Garden. How many more times are we going to see it? I don't know. Cherish it. And then we have the Bucks going to Dallas. Again, two good teams, high-powered offenses. Dame Lillard, Luka, taking logo threes. Let's see how that goes. And then for the Celtics, Monday, tonight, New Orleans at Boston. There's a big homestand here. New Orleans at Boston. Tuesday, Pacers come to the town. Yeah, it looks like we've played the Pacers every single week. I don't understand how we've played them this much. Pacers come to Boston. Thursday, Lakers come to Boston. Come on, classic rivalry. Talk about rivalries week. Talk about rivals right here. Lakers come to Boston. LeBron in Boston. Get the Boo Birds out. Get ready to give him hell. And then Sunday, Memphis comes to Boston. Hopefully Marcus Smart will be there for that game. Maybe a nice video tribute as well. So yeah, those are games. Four home games in this week. So that should be fun. Keep that Garden streak going. But yeah, that's it. That's all I have to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed. And tune in next week. We're going to break down all of those games. But this has been the Dribble.